wait till after the show. Okay, it was a heck of a week, right? Heck of a week.
This was, it's just like, it was like the stars were aligned, the social, economic, political forces were aligned, accidents. I mean, it was an intense week.
You're so funny when you say social, economic, political. Everything that happened this week had to do with total off-the-wall craziness and strange weather.
Yeah, but it probably was influenced by people's development and conditions in the world, and that's what I meant by that.
A Marxist to the end. Well, one of the great quotes I got from the great internet this week was about... It's almost certain, and this is from John Fritchie, a commissioner on the Cook County Board, it's almost certain that Chicago will suffer more fatalities this week than did Boston. I only wish Chicagoans would be equally as outraged. And I think that's a good quote. And also another Facebook quote from Judd Legume. Things we'll do to keep people safe: lock down an entire city for hours. Things we won't do: a 5-minute background check before you buy a gun.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it was pretty disappointing on the gun check front, to say the least.
Yikes.
And I don't know.
You want to know one more thing about that?
Yeah, I do. I want to know a bunch of stuff from you, Kate.
The 5 senators that meant it didn't pass, which, by the way, it used to be a vote of 55 to 45 would be a winning vote. That's how many people voted for the background check, but it wasn't. It was 5 votes short of the to break the filibuster, which is a relatively new piece of work. I can't swear on the radio, right? Right.
Katie, just get it together here.
5 senators from 4 states, representing 1.4% of the U.S. population, are the reason that we don't have this. Those are Alaska, North Dakota, New Hampshire, and Montana. 5 senators from those states. Just, keep it in perspective. Right.
Well, didn't Harry Reid have an opportunity to change the Senate rules at the beginning of this session?
Harry Reid has had a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, as has Obama. But Obama was on fire this week. His ire after the gun vote was really very moving, I thought.
Yeah, it was. It was stunning.
And I wanted to somehow reach him, call him up. Hey, buddy, how about being that way all the time? How about going after this? How about leading the charge?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's something we're working on. We got a lot of wonderful guests here. They're all sitting at the new green table here in the front of the stage.
It's a multicolored table, not just green.
It's from Guatemala, that tarp that you brought back.
Yes.
And they're sitting here waiting, and we got one up here on stage. Good morning to you, Owen Davies.
Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
We're having a great time, and we're glad to have you with us.
I'm glad to be here.
You look great in your red T-shirt that says Speed. You look like you were a runner.
I'm not quite a runner, but I like to work out. So
that's good.
Clearly,
that's key to the future. All of us need to be working out.
So a little bit goes a long way.
That's the truth.
That's only when you're your age, Owen. Okay, I just want to point that out to you. 30 years from now, a little goes nowhere flipping whatsoever. You got to do a lot. Anyway, Owen Davies is here representing the participatory budgeting process, which we are the proud.
The 49th Ward is on fire with this participatory budgeting. This is the 4th year, I believe, and right now we know that Alderman Joe Moore and his wife are over there, I think, are going to England to talk about participatory budgeting. They've been talking about it in, a lot of people have been talking about it all over the country. So tell us a little bit about how you got involved and what's coming up.
Well, how I got involved is I've been a resident of the ward since about 2002, and I was always looking for a way to give back to the ward and looking for those opportunities. 2 years ago, I found participatory budgeting. And so I got onto a project committee. I was working with some neighbors on traffic and public safety, and thoroughly got invested in the process and enjoyed the process, and I felt gave some time back to the community. So it was a real positive experience.
So what do you do?
What do you do with participatory budgeting? So really there's a big grassroots component to it. And I think what I would tell you, my experience for this year versus last year, is where most of the work happens is on the project committees. So the people who are actually out there talking to the community, developing projects, trying to find out what needs need to be met. So those community representatives who are out there doing that, they're researching, they're getting in to find out what the needs are, and they're developing projects, and they're working with the city to find ways to solve those problems. So that's really the nuts and bolts of participatory budgeting.
So the committees meet, they come up with suggestions and plans. People put in proposals like for dog parks, bike parking, maybe someday they'll have showers at the beach again. They'll really work well. Yeah, and
Are you suggesting that should be a project we should consider to put on the ballot there?
It
would
actually
be
has
great.
been suggested.
Oh, good.
And
Well, I like showers and aquatherapy anywhere I go.
don't get them started.
Don't get him.
Let's go on to other.
But I think it's a good process, and then a selection of items comes up, and then the community actually turns out and votes.
Absolutely, and sorry about that. Yeah, so there is a process through the course of the year, starting in August all the way through into about this time of year. We're collecting information of projects, and we're getting them ready for the ballot. The ballot is coming up right now. Actually, the full ballot day is May 4th, which is
May
a
4th.
Saturday, and that's going to be held at the Chicago Math and Science Academy. But in addition to that, one of the things that participatory budgeting has been trying to do over the past couple of years is get more voting opportunities, get more involvement from the community.
Yeah.
We one of the new things that we're trying to do is get outreach and make sure we're reaching more and more people. Last year we had a 40% increase in voting from the ward, but still we're only reaching out to a small portion
Right.
of the ward, and we want to get more people out and contributing.
Yes. Did you, prior to last year, had you taken part in this? Was last year your first time?
So this is my second year.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I hadn't even voted. Didn't
Wow.
even know it was on the agenda.
Yeah. See, now that's why I asked, because I've voted every year, and it's such an exciting thing. I mean, it's a wonderful scene to go into the Math and Science Academy. You've got all the projects laid out there. I mean, the most wonderful thing is that each one of those projects and their descriptions and their dollar cost has put together by volunteers.
Absolutely.
Like you.
Absolutely.
This, to me, is remarkable. This is what I love about my neighborhood. All these people, everybody doesn't agree on everything by any means, which is why we wound up having to wait or separate the projects and say you can vote for two of these. Because the first year, of course, Rogers Park voted for sculptured bike racks, not street repairs. Not one street got
Speaking
repaired
of
4
street
years
repairs,
ago.
I was on Paulina and then Greenleaf yesterday, and they really need some rehab.
Glad you're getting out, Michael. There's a lot of streets that need
Hopefully somebody from the Streets Committee is listening to this right now, and they're marking that down on their list of streets to be done. I want to make sure I hit on a couple more things. One of the things that we've evolved a little bit this year is talk about need versus maybe want. And it's a conversation that we have to have
Very good.
within the community, not just within the Leadership Committee of Participatory Budgeting or the community representative committees, but I think the whole ward, and decide we have things we have to do. Street repairs may be part of that. Lighting projects might be part of that. And arguably parks could be part of that because they're an important part of a ward.
Absolutely.
But if we're not talking about those needs versus wants and trying to find out where the line is for those things, then we're maybe not necessarily making good decisions about where to spend some of this money. Now, when the community gets involved, you hope that the voting process tries to solve that problem.
Yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to make sure I mention is engagement from the community. And if we're only capturing a small percentage of the community, and maybe these are people who are already in line, they're tapped into the communication and all of that, we're not really reaching out and getting to the people
Beyond.
who might have different needs, who might have different opinions on what's important to
That's
the board.
right.
So this year, through the Leadership Committee and in certain very specific members, there's an effort to outreach to the Spanish-speaking part of the community. And I think that was a tremendous, it's a big step for us to get to that point. The efforts have been somewhat slow to come, but we're hoping to build off of that. From little things, big things come. And so if we're not making those little first steps, we're not going to get the big things to happen. And I think that was a big event this year, is to have somebody focus on that. Jose Melendez worked specifically with a group of Spanish-speaking representatives, and we're very, very excited about that.
Actually, I remember on this radio show, one of the times we did participatory budgeting as a topic, we actually spoke part of the announcement in Spanish because there was always an attempt to engage a broader community. And
well, one of the things that I always liked was that there starts to be a little bit of competition between the supporters of different, different proposals. And people like cheering on their friends to come out and vote for the dog park or for something like that.
the dog park was obviously the best organized.
That can be a good thing. It can also be. It could probably look at it on the downside too.
I think that's absolutely correct. And again, we all have our own pet projects, pun intended,
so to speak.
But there is an opportunity for democracy perhaps to go in a direction where it's not maybe necessarily balancing everybody's needs in those kinds of cases. But again, if you really think something's important and you're willing to come out and participate, kudos to you. You should be able to make some traction. You should be able to get some things done.
Is there a way that once the proposals are formatted and put together, that there could be maybe a community meeting before the vote where people could talk about those things?
Well, and in fact, and obviously, we need to do a better job reaching out.
Well, it just hit me in the head here, so I just threw it out.
Here we go. So we just wrapped up a process where the neighborhood committees, the people out the project committees who are collecting information on projects, came back to the ward, and we did 3 meetings to review those projects and solicit feedback before we finalized the ballot. So built into the PB process, there's already a pretty good structure, not only for capturing ideas from the community early on, developing those ideas, but to give a read back to the community, to give them an opportunity, those ideas to kind of develop before they're put on the ballot.
Right.
And what we find is we start with 20 or 30 ideas, and through this process, we whittle them down to a smaller number that
Like how many, 15?
Well, I think we've got 11 projects going on the ballot, specific projects you can vote for, in addition to infrastructure area what we've identified on the ballot for street repairs and some replacement of pedestrian and street lights. So not crossing lights, but rather the lights that light the streets
Street
at night.
lights.
Yeah, absolutely.
Owen Davies, can you tell us what the proposals are for this year?
Well, actually,
No, there's
None of
too
them?
many.
we've
Well,
got
a few.
we've got 11.
Whet my appetite.
We got 11. So we've got a number of projects, including some parks restoration projects. And let me actually do this. I've got to plug the ward site to get out to the participatory
Please.
budgeting. And I think that's probably going to be your best source of information. Give me a few minutes to also highlight the areas where we'll be doing some outreach to do the balloting, to do voting. But in terms of projects that are currently being considered, we've got some cobblestone replacement right here in the neighborhood that we're trying to do just down the street here.
Glenwood Avenue.
To save the streets, like in front of the no exit?
Exactly. And
See, I got to admit, I okayed the paving of this one here because it was so rough years ago.
And
I
I
wish
have
we had never
forgiven you.
done that.
and I think
You couldn't run on that. We ran the street sprints on this new.
And I think that's the thing here. We've identified that as an element that's unique to the ward, that sets us apart. There's perhaps maybe one other set of streets in the city that have the cobblestone, and we want to preserve it. And it just ties in with another guest coming on today with the farmers market. It provides that kind of atmosphere for the ward, and so we want to preserve it. So participatory budgeting is trying to find a way to do that this year. So I know there's one of those projects coming on the ballot this year. I mentioned
In the time we have left, can you tell them about the voting and?
Absolutely. So the main voting day is going to be on May 4th, and that's going to be at the Chicago Math and Science Academy, probably starting around 9 a.m. and going through till about noon. In addition to that, we're doing additional voting, early voting, starting on Saturday, April 27th at Dominic's at Gateway Center. and then through St. Jerome's Church on Sunday. So we're trying to reach out to the Spanish community at St. Jerome's Church. And then through the rest of that week, we'll be at the various Metra and L stations through the course of the week.
Do I remember there not being early voting before? Is this the first early voting?
No, last year we did
it?
early voting as well, and we attribute that to some significant increase in voting.
Right.
But we've expanded on it a little bit this year.
That's
And so there's a
terrific.
full week of early voting going on. And remember, you can always go into the ward office during that period of time after the 27th and vote at the ward office.
And vote there. That's
Okay,
terrific.
everybody get ready for participatory budgeting. It's a great thing. You can find out more about it. What's the website?
I'm going to say the Alderman's website, ward49.com.
Sure.
Okay, and Owen Davies, I always like to ask our guests how they get involved and what they do in the other parts of their life, if you want to share anything.
I warned you.
How I get involved in what I do in my other parts of my life. Well, I spend a lot of time in the gym, actually.
Which is your
Which
favorite
gym?
gym these days?
Actually, I have a gym in my basement. So I move lots of heavy weight in my basement, Mike, and enjoy
Don't
that
get him
tremendously.
started.
No, that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
And do you have a job?
I have a job. I work as a project manager for a firm where everybody's located across the country. There's only 6 of us, and we're all in different
You're
parts
all
of our country.
telecommuting?
We all telecommute together, and good group of people. I'm really enjoying what I'm doing right now.
Well, Owen Davies, it's great to meet you. It's great to have you in our ward, and we really thank you for working on the participatory budgeting.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us on, and happy 420.
Happy
Right on.
420. Woo!
You're going back to your basement. All right.
Pump some weight.
He did mention the 4th of May as the voting day. I want to let you all know that's also the day that the Smith Westerns, a band of some renown coming up in Chicago, will be here live from the Heartland show. They'll be on the show.
We are going to take a break, but I want to say something before we do. If that's okay? We're going to take a break before our next guest, which is Sherry Murato, about the wonderful return of the Glenwood Avenue market, the farmers market. Just in case you missed it, Congress also did something this week, which was taking our internet privacy.
They actually did it?
Yeah, they passed it quietly yesterday while everybody was watching nonstop, Boston being locked down. Cyber Intelligence Protection Act, also called CISPA, the vote was 288 to 126. That's 196 Republicans and half the House Dems. It allows companies, including internet service providers, to share info, including and possibly all the way up to your emails, in order to coordinate efforts in the event of a cyber attack.
And what did Obama say?
He said he'll veto it if it gets to his desk.
Oh, well, that's a relief.
Yeah, I know. And
Hallelujah.
SOBA last year, which also passed the Congress, did not pass the Senate. So it's just something that things happen if you're not paying attention.
Okay, Grant Steskill downtown sitting in for Jay Miller, who's off on a lacrosse outing. I hope they win up there in Wisconsin. How about a little tune, Grant? And then we're going to get Sherry Murata up here. We're going to talk the green part of the show. We're talking about the Glenwood Avenue Market about to reopen.